All right. My name is Michael DeLu. Before I get into politics, today's like a wrap up of Thursday Night Football. I just want to ask if you are a fan of the NFL, just like I am. All right. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and join the Pull Up the Tape community. It only takes a couple seconds, so why the fuck not? Okay. I will be here all season. Every Thursday night game, Sunday night game, Monday Night Football. Every single important game, especially the primetime games, I will be here analyzing them on my channel. And with that being said, let's get right into the politics of today's Thursday Night Football game. So the Eagles win 34-28 in the first Thursday Night Football game on Amazon Prime of the season. And it was a decent game, to say the least. Very, 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 very. I just want to continue to emphasize how very, very sloppy it was in the first quarter by both teams. And it was honestly so sloppy, so fucking sloppy that I texted the two Eagles fans that I was the closest to, which are my Arizona day one homie, Darian, D, call him D to P, and my younger brother, Steven. And I asked them both, who the fuck is calling plays for the Eagles? Because the Eagles look fucking terrible. At the end of the first quarter, Eagles fans were booing them. Yesterday's game was the Eagles' home opener of the 2023 season. They started off on the road in Massachusetts, against Boston, Massachusetts, against the New England Patriots. Their first game of the season at home was this one, and it ended the very first half. The Eagles fans were booing them because the Eagles played sloppy football in the first quarter. Sloppy football in the first quarter. The offense is still struggling to try to figure things out, and I believe his name is Brian Johnson. The easiest way to put it is Brian Johnson was calling bullshit the first quarter, most of the first half, and most of the first half they look sloppy. The Eagles offense it wasn't the easiest game to watch, but the Eagles got it together. The passing game is still a work in progress. I actually didn't see the clip, but apparently A.J. Brown got into Jalen Hurts' face and was very, very upset. I don't necessarily think that that's going to be a big issue moving forward. I think that's something they're going to be able to correct because last year A.J. Brown had a really good season, but at the same time, Shane Steichen was calling the plays, not Brian Johnson. Shane Steichen has moved on, and he's now the head coach for the Indianapolis Colts. The Jacksonville Jaguars, my team, we played them on the first game of the season. He called a pretty good game as well. So, I mean, maybe they're trying to, I don't know exactly what it is or what's going on, but it is early in the season. It is only game 2. The Eagles are 2-0. So, nevertheless, even though the passing game is struggling and it's struggling, but nevertheless, they're still 2-0, and it hasn't cost them any games. A.J. Brown, I do think they're going to do a better job of getting him involved. Like last year, he had a 1,000-yard season. If I'm not mistaken, Devontae Smith had a 1,000-yard season as well. He had a really, really good game this game, but AJ Green, I don't know why I keep saying AJ Green. A.J. Brown, he was visibly upset that he wasn't getting the ball as much as he wanted. He only, if I can recollect, he only had 4 catches, whatever the case may be. But I mean, like I said, the passing game is still, a work in progress, but ultimately it's not costing them any games. I'm not really too impressed by the Eagles' W's so far. I mean, not that they haven't looked good at times. At times, at some specific times, they look good. Like the first half against the Patriots, they look good. In the second half against the Vikings, they look good. They beat a Patriots team that I personally don't think is really that good to begin with. And they beat a Vikings team that was the number 2 seed in the NFC last year. But that Vikings team did something that no team has ever done in NFL history. They were undefeated in every single game. They came down to that was every single one touchdown game. Any game that was under 7 points, they did not lose last season. They won every single close game, tightly contested game that they played. I just don't think that's realistic to expect again this year. And I also don't think that it's realistic to expect them to do that again for different reasons. One, it's just not – they made NFL history last year. I don't think they're going to do it again. And then also the team is a little bit weaker. And so given that, I'm like, you know what? Two decent wins for the Eagles. The first game, the Patriots, It was Tom Brady. I feel like Tom Brady was in the house. I mean, I guess emotions are high in past Foxborough or whatever the case may be. And then this week they beat a very, very desperate team that needed a W, but unfortunately they didn't get it. The running game for the Eagles was fucking insane. And truthfully, the Eagles continue to find the Eagles are building and continuing on the trend that they started last year, which was finding different ways to win ball games. And they do it in so many different ways. And one of the biggest components about this team that I really like is their ability to pivot and to adapt. Because I personally don't think in the game plan it was like originally when this game plan was implemented on Monday, it was to feed the DeAndre Swift as many times as they did. But over the course of the game and seeing how successful he was pounding the rock, whatever case may be, he was like, you know what, honestly, let's force feed this nigga the rock. Let's force feed this nigga the rock. Okay, let me get to a box score for the Eagles. So that Jalen Hurts, 18 of 23, 193 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. DeAndre Swift, which is crazy. DeAndre Swift led all running backs with yards per carry last season. The Eagles traded for him, and in the first week, he only got 2 carries. My homie Jig did the over and under on him on Prize Picks, and obviously it didn't work. But this week, DeAndre Swift had 25 carries, 170 yards. Was it 170 yards? I thought he had like 100. Did he? How many did he have? This I wrote down 170. I don't know if he really. No. I honestly. 25 carries, 170 yards, a touchdown. Jalen Hurts had 12 carries, 35 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. That QB sneak that they do, that's that shit. So Jalen Hurts, pretty decent game for him. Not pretty decent, pretty good game for him today. Yesterday, 3 touchdowns in total. The Eagles as a team rushed for 259 yards. Last year, they averaged 147 yards per game. And last year, as a team, they rushed for over 2,500 yards. We all know what they could do behind that offensive line, man. They're lethal, they're deadly, and they can literally take over games because they're so good on both ends of that's why everyone picked them to win the Super Bowl, because on both sides of the line, on the offensive defensive line, they are dominant, especially the offensive line. Their offensive line, they have the best offensive line in the NFL, in my personal opinion. That's not even a hot take. But let me get to the pass catchers. Devontae Smith had 4 catches, 131 yards, and a touchdown. A.J. Brown only had 4 catches, 29 yards, and that's why he was so visibly upset at a very specific point. I'm being hella wordy. At a specific point in the game. Let me talk about the Vikings real quick, because the Vikings are out here making history every single season. So the Vikings have seven turnovers in the first 2 games of the season. That's an NFL record. That hasn't been done in almost 20 years. The Vikings are literally giving games away. In yesterday's game, they had 4 fumbles, 3 of them in the first half. Kirk Cousins fumbled. Brandon Powell, who was returning a punt, and it was a really, really good return, at the end of the punt, fumbles the fucking ball. That's unacceptable. Alexander Madison, I don't know if I'm saying his name, he fumbles the football. And the only person that I can give, that I'll give slack to, because obviously he is the Vikings' best player, is Justin Jefferson. I've always thought that this rule was very, very odd. The touchback rule when you fumble into the end zone. And it's funny too, because earlier this week I seen a clip where it talked about in New England, they talk players out of extending for the goal line. That's not something that they want them doing because of this exact simple thing. Fumbling the ball, and then when it goes into the end zone, it's considered a touchback. The other team gets the ball immediately, which I've always thought was stupid. That's 4 fumbles right then and there. The only standout that the Vikings had, and truthfully, the 4 fumbles is why the Vikings lost this game. They have 4 fumbles and they only lost the game by 6. 4 fumbles and only lost the game by 6. I repeat, 4 fumbles and only lost the game by 6. Maybe if they don't have one of those, the Justin Jefferson fumble honestly was the biggest play of the game, because Justin Jefferson fumbles as as the Vikings are marching down the field, the Eagles get that ball, go down the field, and get a field goal right before halftime, and then that allows them to go up what they had. They were up. If I'm not, I think that gives them. I think that allows them to go up. I think 17 to 10. Yeah, I think 17 to 10, and then the Eagles scored 2 touchdowns right off the gate to start the second half. But Danielle Hunter had 3 sacks but the Vikings, and that's the only positive for the Vikings, the fact that Danielle Hunter had 3 sacks, because the Vikings defensive line was ripped to shreds, gaping holes on every single running play for the Eagles, and they were wore down like a white girl's Air Forces. They were wore the fuck down. The Vikings defensive line, the Vikings defense as a whole, wore the fuck down like a white girl's Air Forces. Y'all know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. Them bitches be beat the fuck up, beat the fuck down, worn the fuck out, shoelaces brown, fucking creased in the motherfucker, like wore the fuck down. That shit was bad. Kirk Cousins, 31 of 44, 364, 4 touchdowns. He played a really, really good game. He stood in the pocket, completed a lot of tough throws. The running game, oh my fucking God, oh my fucking God, oh my fucking God, oh my fucking God. When I say run game, I literally have a question mark at the end because it was non-fucking existent. They, as a team, the Minnesota Vikings. You know, I was talking about the Eagles. The Eagles' running game passing game not costing them games. Well, the Vikings' running game is costing them games. The Vikings' running game is literally costing them games. As a team, they had 9 carries for 29 yards. Okay, and to see this happen right in a game like this, you just makes me think, y'all cut Dalvin Cook for what reason? What is the valid reason behind cutting Dalvin Cook? Because Alexander Mattison, he had 8 carries for 28 yards and a fumble. And it makes me wonder, you cut Dalvin Cook, why not bring in a veteran running back like, I don't know, Kareem Hunt? I don't know, Leonard Fournette. Those guys can still play. And I didn't realize that those guys didn't have jobs until I was watching today's game when someone suggested that maybe they should look into signing either of those guys or both of them. Shit. You can get a running back on fucking cheap-ass money nowadays. Pay the nigga some scraps, come in, get hey, you want to play? You want a job? Come on down, the price is right. The Vikings cannot have more games like this. Cause even like I've critically said and faithfully said that the Bills lack of a run game is going to cost them in the biggest games of the year. And the fact that the Vikings did what they did yesterday, oh my God, that shit was fucking piss poor. Piss fucking poor. Because I know for a fact if Dalvin Cook was on that roster, they would not rush for 29 yards as a fucking team. 29 yards? 29 yards? Justin Jefferson, 11 receptions, 159 yards. 5,000 receiving yards in his career. He did it in 52 games. The quickest in NFL history. Jordan Addison, fight the fuck on, USC product. 3 receptions, 72 yards, a touchdown. TJ Hawkinson, 7 receptions, 66 yards, 2 touchdowns. KJ Osborne, who I don't know why KJ Osborne is getting as many snaps as he's getting when the Vikings are only in a 2-receiver set. I think it should be Jordan Addison. He had 3 catches, 34 yards, and a touchdown. The Vikings have started off 0-2 now. Realistically, I don't see them making the playoffs anymore. Honestly, like they have a their next game of the season is against the Vikings, not the Vikings, against the Chargers. They have the Chargers at home. Depending on how the Chargers play this week, they're gonna come into that game desperate as fuck, looking for a win, or whatever the case may be. I mean, the Chargers are in must win mode anyways. They're trying to keep up with the Chiefs in the AFC West. And the Chargers are not trying to be a wild card team again this season, so they need to win. They need to win games. So the Vikings have their hands full next week as well because the Chargers come into town. The Chargers are no joke. They might do things and like lose games the way the Chargers do, but nevertheless, I think they'll give the Vikings a really, really good game. And honestly, man, the Vikings. I thought yesterday's game was a must win. The next game is a must win. They can't. 0-2 is already crazy. 0-3 would be catastrophic. And I already said I think this team is going to regress and take a step back, and especially because of the fact that they don't have Dalvin Cook moving forward. But I mean, it is what it is. With that being said, my name is Michael DeLu. That is the end of today's wrap up. Like I said, I'm going to be consistent. Shit is going to change. I'm going to be consistent. So after every Thursday night game, after every Sunday night game, after every Monday night game, catch me. I will be here on YouTube giving you my analysis, giving you my takes. With that being said, my name is Michael DeLu. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. Join the Political community. It only takes a couple seconds. Why the fuck not? And with that being said, I am out this bitch.